Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Environmental Coffee House. We have a special guest today. Yes, he is an avatar. His name is Pup Tenacle, and he will be telling you why he's an avatar. And we are talking about solar, but then we might go over to heat pumps. We might talk about a shit hit the fan thing. So, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, welcome to our wonderful channel, and I am so happy to have you. So, Pup, I met you through the Climate Crisis Club. I have heard you for 2 years now talking about all these amazing things, and you impress me. I dig the shit out of you, so I'm just happy to have you. So, can you please introduce yourself? I didn't put our names up on the screen or anything. Pup and Sandy, obviously I could, but tell us about yourself, sweetie.
Well, uh, uh, 20 years in the United States Navy. Did one tour in Vietnam. That was enough. And then rotated
Wow.
to the submarine force for the next 17 years. Um, all nuclear powered. Uh, I've been in every ocean except two. Been to the North Pole three times on submarines.
Wow.
Um, so I have a background. I had a background in electronics before I joined the Navy, and a strong background in mechanics. Two vocational schools, marine and small engine mechanics, then auto mechanics, and then the Navy for 20 years. After the Navy, uh, because the job I did involved computers and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I got into the IT field for the next 38 years, and some of my accomplishments there were I was CCIE, a Cisco certified internet network engineer. I've worked for Wall Street banks, uh, et cetera, et cetera. In other words, I'm digital savvy. Um,
Cool.
uh, Sometime around 1998, uh, I retired and bought 20 acres up here in northern Minnesota. And then uh, literally built my own house. And when I say that, I mean I hammered the nails, I ran the plumbing, the electrical. Um, and to be honest, the way I got into renewable energy was I called up the power company, a local power company. I said, "Hey, I'm going to need power," and they quoted me $23,000 to run
Yeah.
power in off the highway. And I thanked him for the quote and hung up the phone and immediately went out and bought a small diesel generator, batteries, inverter, battery chargers, and then ordered solar panels. My total investment on my initial system was 12 grand. And so I saved right off the get go, 11 grand. And
Wow.
so I guess what I'm trying to say is that I didn't get into renewable energy because I was a tree hugger. Uh, I got into it because it was, the financial smart thing to do.
Yeah.
Um, but over the next 20 some odd, almost 30 years, um, I've expanded the system and changed it up and tried this and tried that. And the pictures Sandy's going to show you, I got to front load this and say that, this is a work in progress. This is my real time laboratory, so to speak. If I get a wild idea, and I do a little bit of research, I'll go out and try it. I'll sink the money into whatever materials I need and then try it for a year or two. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, then I've got some practical experience on saying, no, that's a pretty shitty idea. Don't do this.
Don't do
But,
this. Well,
but
everybody's with us. I mean, we've got the whole climate crisis club in there. Hey. Well,
So
okay, I won't interrupt. Keep going. We
so why don't you start with the pictures I sent you,
All right.
and I'll describe the system that is running my house right now
All right.
and
Cool.
campus.
Yep. Let's
So
go.
the picture that you're seeing now is uh, my main solar array, which is 6 feet deep, 6 feet deep, uh, 42 feet long. This is in during the construction. It's literally just a bunch of 4x4 posts in the ground with a header. And then I went down to my local, because I'm a lazy fuck. I went down to my local lumber store and said, I want some uh, shed trusses, and they need to be 6 foot by 8 foot by 10 foot, with a 2 foot extension on it. And so that's what the trusses that you're seeing. I just had to make them. Again, because I could have made them myself. But you set those up, you brace them, and then you start laying up the solar panels on it. So that's the in construction phase of building a 6 kilowatt array,
Six
that has
kilowatt.
20, 24 60 cell, 250-watt solar panels. They're arranged in strings of three. Um, so they're a total of 8 strings. Uh, and the reason I did that is the solar charge controller has a maximum input voltage of 150 volts. There's the complete array.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you take 3 of these 60 cell panels, which have a voltage open circuit rating of 37 and change volts. So 3 in series is going to give you about 105 to 110 volts. And that stays within the parameters of the solar maximum voltage for the solar charge controller. Then 8 strings of wire, and I use it's underground direct bury lighting wire. I buy it on spools of 1,000 foot, 14 or 16 gauge. I prefer 14 for obvious reasons.
Well, I don't
And
know.
so
What are
there's
the obvious? What are the obvious reasons?
the, the bigger the bigger the wire, the less line loss you're going to get.
Okay. And line
Uh,
loss is what? The energy what dissipates somehow or doesn't get to where it's going?
all wire has a certain amount of resistance in it, and
Yeah.
the electricity moving through the wire will be converted into heat. So the fatter
Okay.
the wire, the lower the resistance is, and the less energy gets transferred into heat. And understand that these wire runs run 130 feet to a shed where all the electronics and batteries and blah 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 are. Do me a favor
Okay.
and go to the next
All right.
the
So
picture of the solar charge controller, or
not the
the solar combiner.
this
Nope, that's the inverter.
the batteries.
That's batteries.
This.
That's a solar combiner.
All right.
So into that, you'll notice all those wires are leading into that, into breakers. And each breaker, you can turn off 1 string. In other words, 3 solar panels. That then dumps onto a bus bar. You can see the big fat red wires coming out of there.
Yeah.
Those lead into the inverter,
Okay. And that's
which,
the other thing, right? This.
yeah, the big block, yeah, that. Now, that inverter has 2 solar charge controllers
Okay.
and a battery charger and the inverter and all the logic so that you can program it. So that there's 4 wires, one red or 2 red and 2 black, that come
Okay.
out of the solar combiner into the inverter, and that's where the solar energy, electricity, as DC at
Right.
about 100 and some volts,
Okay.
comes into the inverter.
So
Then,
this stuff, but this doesn't live in your home. This is living in a middle building and then is going to your home from that. So there's the
yep,
panels, then there's your power building or whatever you want to call it, your power shed, and then wiring into the house.
yes,
Okay.
yes. Now, the power, okay, for many years, I used backup generators. And eventually, God, I can give you a whole treatise on what generator to buy or what ones not to buy. But anyway, I eventually got to the point uh, when you need to run a backup generator. You know, it's the middle of winter. You've got 4 days worth of snow. You've got 6 inches of snow on your solar panels. They're not producing shit, and your battery bank runs out. You gotta get the power from someplace. Well,
Mm-hmm.
for 10, 15 years, 10 years, I was running backup generators. And I finally,
Okay.
uh, backup generators, your cost is about 25 cents a kilowatt hour. And it just dawned on me when I went to this inverter, you can actually program that inverter to draw power from the grid when certain conditions are met. For instance, when your battery bank is just about empty, and you tell it to do a slow battery charge and then start supporting the loads, your home loads, your campus loads.
Okay.
So, and those settings in the inverter really are just a trial and error over time because you don't want to buy any more power than you have to, but you got to have enough trons to, be able to make popcorn and watch movies when it's 10 o'clock at night.
What kind of backup was your was it propane? What was your backup generators? What were they?
Initially diesel, and that really isn't a good idea when the temperature gets to 40 below.
Okay.
Um, Diesels don't want to start. And then it was gas generators, but hauling gas and diesel is, oh my God, I did that for 10 years. What an enormous pain in the ass. So
Oh.
eventually I went to
Oh.
propane.
Okay.
Um, and at one point in time, I had three 1,000 gallon propane tanks for a total combined
Wow.
storage of 2,400 gallons.
That's a
Um,
lot. Holy crap. I have propane also, but certainly nothing like that. No.
well, understand that I was heating three buildings,
Uh-huh.
two shops, my house,
Uh-huh.
and
Gotcha.
potentially running a propane generator on top of it. Um, Now, typically, in a horrible winter, a horrible year with a horrible winter, I'd go through 1,700 gallons of propane. But at the time, propane was 49 cents a gallon.
Yeah. Oh God, now
You
it's
know,
almost it's like $5 a gallon. It's ridiculous.
yeah,
I got filled
yeah,
up on mine. Mine are filled up before this war shit started. So I thankfully have filled up for next year. But I
yeah.
use it, it's just for my basement, unfortunately.
I lucked out last year, and my propane. I shifted propane companies and
Yeah.
got rid of the three tanks. I now only have one 1,000 gallon tank, but they fill it whenever it gets empty or near
Mm-hmm.
empty.
Yeah.
And I locked in at $1.89 a gallon for 7,500 gallon
Wow.
contract.
That's okay. You got lucky because that's old. Those prices don't exist anywhere. I don't think.
Oh no! Every time they come up the hill to fill the propane tank, I can see their asshole puckering, because they're paying more for propane
I
than
know. I'm that
than they're
person.
selling it to me for.
Oh, wow. Well,
And it's not,
I'm just
like
glad.
100 gallons. It's like 600 at a shot.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah. I hear you. But I'm keeping this picture up particularly until you're ready to move on to talk about the batteries because I love this. And this is something that I have envisioned in my at my place, if I could ever afford it. And what we're going to talk about is affordability,
okay.
the buzzword affordability.
Well,
Because I've
let's
always thought it was like insane and out of reach, and a lot of people do.
Okay. Well, let's that array. First off, that's 24 of 42 panels I have.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a total generation capacity of 10.5 kilowatt, which is going to get expanded out this coming summer to probably another 12 to 18 kilowatt. I'm
Okay,
going to
stop for a
add.
second. Kilowatt. So for a normal house, let's say a 1,700 square foot home, to electrify, if everything's electric, what does it mean? Talk to us like some of us are idiots. Not a lot of us
Okay.
aren't, but I am.
Yeah, the average American home is considered to be 1,700 square foot, 3 bedroom, 2 bath.
Okay.
Um, the average American home draws 25 kilowatts per day, which is a little bit above on average, 1 kilowatt every hour. So that's 1 kilowatt hour every hour, if that makes
Okay.
any sense.
We're
Um,
learning. Yeah.
so, if you have the average American home, and you're going to be, I don't have my calculator up. Let me pull that up.
Yeah.
Uh, you
Okay.
have to generate to be off to be energy neutral. In other words, not buy any. You
Mm-hmm.
have to generate 25 kilowatt hours a day because that's
Oh.
what the average American home uses, right?
Yeah.
Assuming you're the average American and you're not conserving and blah 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 blah.
Wow. Yeah.
So what that means, that six kilowatt array that you see in the picture has to produce for 4 hours at rated capacity for a day.
Okay.
So in other words, you're generating all the 25 kilowatt hours worth of power in a 4 hour period.
All
And
right.
I'm in northern Minnesota, so that's a realistic number.
All right.
Um, in the summer, that array, my God, I'll get an 8 hour day, which means that about halfway through the day, my batteries are completely charged. I've made 42 gallons worth of hot water, and the whole system is sitting there twiddling its thumbs because it literally doesn't have any place to put the energy.
But it,
So the secret here is
yeah.
to over engineer.
Okay. All right.
Put up put up too many solar panels. If you think you're going to need 24 of them, put up 42 because solar panels are dirt cheap in today's world. They're 13 cents a watt. It's
Explain.
just
All right. So explain it. Explain 13 cents a watt as to how many solar panels and all that.
that 6 kilowatt array you see,
Yeah.
the panels, the wood,
Mm-hmm.
and 8 strands that 130-foot long strands
Mm-hmm.
cost $3,000.
All right.
That
Uh,
includes the shipping on the panels. I mean, that's all in.
okay.
Um, Now that's materials cost.
Right.
The no labor in that because I know how to do it, and I've got friends that are more than willing to come over and help this crazy old man uh, hammer nails and do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
the total all in cost of what you're seeing there was $3,000. Now
Okay.
now with the cost of wood going up in today's world, you're probably looking at $4,000, maybe as much as $4,500. Um, but that one single array would just about take the average American home off grid with zero electrical bill or very close to zero.
All right. I want to
You'd
add this
probably
comment really quick. Always buy extra panels because the specs must match. If anything fails, it has to be replaced. And Moon Man happens to be my friend, and he's all solar, so he's actually one that knows. So that's why I want to introduce you
he,
guys.
he's spot on. He's absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, uh, so let's talk about where did I get the panels.
Yeah. Let's
Um,
do that.
So now I'm gonna shift to a little bit of industrial solar for a second.
All right.
You see these huge solar arrays, typically in the Southwest, although I'm starting to see them up here in the North too.
Mm-hmm.
When when they build those, there are tens of thousands of panels in those arrays. From an accounting standpoint,
Yeah.
they use something called double declining depreciation, which means that in 3 years, those panels that are sitting up in the sunshine on your accounting books are literally worth nothing.
Oh,
You've depreciated them to zero.
okay.
So what these companies do, and in 3 years, the technology in solar panels has improved. They're more efficient.
Sure.
They put out more energy for the same. So what they do is they say, "Shit, let's go replace those panels." Well, you've got tens of thousands of these panels to replace, and there's a labor cost there that is just enormous. So they contract with companies to come out and de-rack the old panels. And what they get paid is they get to keep the panels for free
Oh,
because they're not worth anything, right? On the books.
on the
And
books.
then they buy new solar panels and they have another company come out and put them up. Well, these companies are technically called, they're in the salvage market.
Okay.
And the company that I bought those panels from is santansolar.com.
San Tam, Santam.
TAN
All right.
solar.com.
What I'll do is put that up after in the show notes, and we'll put the links up so anybody that's interested, definitely. These
Now,
are interesting things to know because personally, as the dummy, lay person, whatever, I never knew this that this there was this market. I didn't know
now,
this.
now, the reason, okay, so the solar panels that you see in the picture, if I walked out to Home Depot, those are $250 a pop times
Yeah.
24. That's an enormous amount of money. Run the numbers. Those panels from Santan Solar were $50 a piece,
Big,
one
big
fifth the
savings.
cost.
Yeah. Wow.
And it cost me $250 worth of shipping. Motor, because they have to come motor freight because they're too goddamn big to fit in UPS or
Okay.
FedEx. So, that the panels there actually cost less than what all the wood and the wire cost to put them up in the air. I mean, literally, you're looking at
Yeah.
$1,200 worth of solar panels,
Hmm.
but the total cost of the area was 3 grand. That means I spent $1,800 in wood and wire
Yeah. Yeah.
and nails. Um, Another example is 2 years ago, I did a system for a neighbor, Jimmy and Sharon, and they bought. I found at Santan Solar, I found 24 295-watt panels, including the motor freight shipping. Those panels cost $881.06.
Okay.
That's a 6,960. Let's call it 7,000-watt solar array.
And
Jimmy,
go ahead.
go ahead.
Well, it's Moonman's comment was that the used panels market is getting big, and these used panels can be good for at least 20 years. Another 20
Well,
years.
these are name brand panels.
It's amazing.
And those panels, worst case scenario, come with a 20-year lifespan, a 20-year warranty.
Mm-hmm.
So let's run the numbers here. So they're up in the air for 3 years. So
Mm-hmm.
you've chewed up 3 years of a minimum of a 20-year warranty. And sometimes they're warranted for 25 years.
All right.
So now you're buying a panel at one fifth the cost, but it's still got just looking at the warranty, you've still got the majority of its lifespan left. And the reality
Okay.
of it is that those panels you see in the picture, they're probably going to be good for 50 years.
So here's a question though. Why is there waste in the industrial industry that they don't use them for more than a certain amount of time?
That's just purely accounting. It's money. It's the
Money.
money flow.
all
It's
that money.
because of our tax laws. They can write them off completely in 3 years.
Jeez.
So, and
Wow.
technology is moving so fast. I mean, these panels are probably, the in the 13, 14% efficient rating. Now you hardly can't buy panels that aren't, I don't know, 18, 19, 20%, and that's on the low end. And some of the bifacials are 40 some percent efficient. So it behooves a large solar company to stay with the times, and
Okay.
especially since you just depreciated them to literally being worth nothing on your books.
Yeah. Uh, so tell us what the difference is in what did you call these? Bifacial?
Well, those are monoclip. Hold on, rented lift, monocrystalline
Okay.
panels.
All right.
Bifacials are panels that are literally sensitive on both sides of the panel.
Okay. That's what I
So
thought.
if you're running bifacials,
Tilting.
those panels are pointed due south at a 45-degree angle
Okay.
because you want to catch the sun running east to west. But with
Right.
bifacials, because they're sensitive on both sides, you will mount them vertically, straight up and down, and you'll point them east, north south.
Mm-hmm.
As a pointing, you'll point them east.
Mm-hmm.
That way, you get the sun coming up in the east.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little bit of dip when the sun's directly overhead, and then you get another camel hump of power as the sun is setting in the west.
All right.
Um, but bifacials, for the money,
Mm-hmm.
there aren't a lot of them in the used market right now. So, I
Okay.
mean,
Because
and
they're that new.
there are times if you do a little bit of searching around and you wait until the winter time. So, okay, so let's say Santan Solar gets a contract to go out and pull 30,000 panels off of some solar array. Well, they put them in the warehouse and then they start selling them, but they don't sell them all.
Mm-hmm.
So now they got to warehouse these damn things, and it's wintertime,
Wow.
and nobody's installing fucking solar in the wintertime, right?
Well,
I
maybe
mean,
in the Southwest.
well, but let's just say that sales decrease
Yeah.
significantly. So you buy your solar panels about a month ago, and
Okay.
sometimes you can find these panels at like $20 a throw,
Okay.
and that at $20 a throw, holy crap, you're into the single pennies per watt. You're like a
Yeah.
nickel a watt. Um, 250-watt panel costs you
Mm-hmm.
$20. I mean, run the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so it's just ridiculously solar. It's just ridiculously cheap. Um,
That is if you have the wherewithal or you have someone to build something like this for you and you're not using directly, a direct company that's trying to make a gigantic profit off you.
yep, yep, yep. And there are a lot of solar installers out there. I field tons of calls from friends and family. I just got this call from the solar installer, and he wants to charge me 50 grand to put solar on the roof, or 35 grand to put solar on the roof. And
Oof.
these are very, by and large, there are a lot of shysters out there.
Oh, I'm
The cost of
sure.
materials is probably, I don't know. If you get a $35,000 quote, the cost of materials, the actual stuff you're going to put up is probably, I don't know, 5 grand. And the rest of
Jeez.
it's all labor and then the profit, that
Sure.
this, and
Mhm.
I can tell you horror stories about some of the uh, conference calls I've been on with friends and these solar installers, and I'm like, Jesus Christ,
Well, that's exactly why
bad
I have
design,
never
bad
done that.
engineering,
Yeah.
inflated numbers, and it just pisses me off because if they were honest about it, we'd be propagating a lot more solar installs, but you know these guys are out to and lots of times they'll do a bunch of installs. They'll get class action sued by
Mm-hmm.
that a particular state's attorney general. They'll fold the company, claim bankruptcy, and then 2 weeks later, they take the same people, the same personnel
Oh my
under a
God.
new LLC, and they're back up and out there screwing people again.
God
And it just
damn. That's the American
pisses me
way.
off.
That's sad.
Yeah.
That's really sad. Well, listen, can we move on a little bit? We got Nadia. Hello, Nadia, darling. Nadia's here. And let us look at the picture of the batteries that are actually holding on.
Yep.
Talk about
Now,
these.
what you're seeing there is okay. So the first two rows of blue batteries, the ones closest to you, those are lithium iron phosphate 200 amp hour uh, 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 batteries. They're connected, 16 of them in series to get 48, actually 51.2 volts. But it's considered a 48-volt system. What you see behind there is, oh my God, I don't even remember how many of them now. 1, 2, 3, 4 times 4, 16. Is that right? Do I
I
have 16? It's been so long.
one, two.
Um,
It looks like four. Yeah, 4, 6, 8, 12. It looks like 16 back there. And then what
yeah,
are the front? Yeah, what's the difference between these two?
the ones in the back literally are Walmart 24 DC deep cycle batteries like you'd use on your trolling motor in your boat. Um,
Oh,
now,
okay.
why do I have a mix of batteries?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, why? That's a good
Well, when
question.
I built the system, I had ordered the lithium ions because the only place you can get them is from fucking China, because they don't make those anywhere in the United States. Period. Nobody does.
Okay.
Um, so I get the whole system up, and I'm like, "Fuck, the batteries haven't shown up." Because it takes 40 some fucking days to get it literally on a slow boat from China.
Okay.
Um, so I went out to Walmart and I literally hit 3 Walmarts and drained them of all their 24 DC deep cycle batteries so that I had 48-volt battery bank so that the inverter would fire up.
But you don't need to do that. I mean, an average person, if I was doing this, I don't need to have this.
No, no, no. Normally, what you would see if you wanted, uh, 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 well, and to put it in perspective, each one of those rows of lithium batteries is 10 kilowatt hours worth of storage.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
the lead acid batteries in the back, the boat batteries,
Yeah.
that's 10 kilowatt too. So look at
Okay.
the size difference.
Yeah, big difference.
So if you were doing this normally
Mm-hmm.
and you didn't get screwed by your delivery system, you wouldn't have those boat batteries back there,
No.
and it'd occupy about 1/4 the area.
Okay.
And then, but once the lithiums came in, I'm like, well, fuck, I got 10 kilowatt hours worth of storage in the boat batteries. Screw it, I already paid for them. Let's use them. Um, and they've been there. Interestingly enough, and we're going to get a little bit of deep into the electronics here,
Okay. Go
but
for it.
lithium ion batteries,
Mm-hmm.
they call them LFP batteries, lithium iron phosphate.
Okay.
Those have a lower internal resistance. So when the inverter demands power from the battery bank, it's the lithiums that get drained first because they have a lower internal resistance than the lead acid batteries.
Oh.
So basically, those lead acid batteries you're seeing are almost 8 years old, and they are just spiffy doodle fine because they barely ever get
They're
used.
what, pup? Zippy
Lead
doodles?
acid, yeah, yeah, spiffy doodle.
Okay. I need a
You know,
laugh.
I, I had those batteries. For a long time, I was using floor buffer batteries, big L16HCs. These things are 130 pounds a piece. They're huge. Um, and I'd get 8, 9 years out of them, and then they would just wouldn't hold a charge anymore, and I'd have to go replace them.
Yeah.
Well, I built this battery bank, and
Yeah.
about a year in, it dawned on me, and you always had to water them too. And it
Yeah.
dawned on me, fuck, I've never watered those goddamn batteries. I bet you they're bone dry by now. And I went out and looked at them, and they were all full because they never got charged heavily, hence they never boiled off any of the water.
Oh,
And
wow.
I started doing battery by battery testing on them, and they were just like pretty much just like I the day that I bought them
Yeah.
when I bought them from Walmart.
Uh-huh.
They just never get used, or unless you really drain the battery bank down to nubbins, then they start kicking in.
What about this
But
comment? Don't mix up lithium ion with L iron phosphate?
well, you're seeing it. I mixed them.
Okay.
You just have to set your charging profile correctly so that you don't overcharge the lithiums, but you charge the lead acid batteries well enough.
Okay. But like if I had a setup or anybody here has a setup, we don't need those batteries in the back at all.
No, and ideally, Moonman's correct. You don't want to mix batteries.
Yeah.
You don't
He
want to mix battery chemistries because the charging profiles are different, and you're either going to fuck up one or you're not gonna charge the other ones well enough.
yeah.
Um,
Okay.
Now, the other thing you really can't see on the lithiums is all lithium batteries. I don't care. I don't care what size, shape, or otherwise. All lithium batteries absolutely, without a doubt, have to have a battery management system on each battery bank.
Has
And
to
you
have
can't
what?
see them
Say that again.
on each battery bank.
Has
So
what?
each one of the uh, uh, what a BMS does, and lithium
Okay.
batteries are very sensitive to temperature and charging profile. You can't charge an LFP battery below about 32 degrees, or you'll destroy them.
Right.
Uh, and you really want to monitor the battery while you're charging it. You want to monitor the cell temperatures, and that's what a BMS does. Because if you overcharge a lithium battery, they will burst into flames,
Ooh.
and they are a fire that you cannot put out. You can't pour enough water on it. You can't put enough foam on them. They will, I mean, remember from years ago the laptops that were bursting into flames?
Yeah, I do.
Um, that was due to not a battery problem, but a problem in the BMS, the battery management system, in the laptop that was overcharging the battery. And consequently, they got into thermal runaway and burst into flames. Uh, if you talk to your local fire company, if they get an electric vehicle that's a car fire, they literally just stand aside and watch it burn because there's
Jeez.
nothing they can do to put it out.
So with all of these batteries, besides just this with the solar, I have like these backup batteries. I have a FossyBot 3600 watt, and I have a EcoFlow. The FossyBot is down in my basement. It's covered, it's charged, but it's not overcharged. But it's cold in that basement. I keep it covered, but it's cold. And I haven't used it that much. It's really an emergency for power outages for the freezer and whatever I need down there. But if it's 50 degrees down there, is that too cold? Because I know I had brought down, I have another little portable one I had shown in a show, another EcoFlow portable one, and it was too cold. I left it downstairs covered, but it sapped the energy out of it, even though it wasn't below
Yeah, well,
50.
I keep the shed where those batteries and the inverter and the solar combiner are. I keep that at 50 degrees.
Right.
Unless I'm in there working, and then I,
Okay.
raise the temperature to 70 or 75.
Yeah.
But 50's fine. What was happening to you with that one unit is the BMS in that little unit said, "Nope, sorry, the temperature's too cold. I'm not going to charge that battery."
Oh,
I
that's what.
mean, my
Yeah.
BMSs will prevent a battery charge if the
Okay.
battery cell temperature is below 32 degrees.
All right.
It
Well,
won't.
I
It
brought
just
it
says,
upstairs, and I haven't
"Yep."
had a problem with the other one, the Fossey bot in the basement, but I haven't used it that much, and I know that you have to use. You do have to use them up. I mean, you have to let the power go out of them and recharge them every now and then. You can't just leave it, right?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Not
Tell me.
necessarily.
Tell us about that.
Lithiums are a little bit different than lead acids or other battery chemistries in that um, they'll hold a charge for years,
Okay.
and they're just happy as a clam.
All right.
It's when you try to charge them at a lower temperature, or you try to draw too much power out of the battery bank. Those lithiums that you see there,
Mm-hmm.
they'll put out, if you short across the terminals, they'll put out 1200 amps. It'll be a blinding flash of light, and you'll weld the terminals together
Oh.
and probably start them into thermal runaway. So the other thing a BMS does is it
Whew.
limits the amount of current that you can pull out of that battery bank, and consequently each individual cell. And
Okay.
I've got those set the BMSs so that they're never allowed to draw more than 50 amps out of each string.
Now that has nothing to do with this, the
Nothing.
BMS. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Well, not entirely true, because the battery charger and the solar charge controller have a charging profile built into them.
Okay.
But the BMS is then your gatekeeper at the battery itself
Mm-hmm.
that says, even if you try to overcharge me, I'm not going to let you do it. Or if you try to drop
Right.
power out of me faster than I've been told, I'm not going to let the inverter do that. Now, what I've
Okay.
done is that's a 5 kW inverter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even if I were drawing the maximum amount of power out of that inverter, the full 5 kW,
All right.
it's a 50-volt battery system, round numbers. I'm keeping the numbers simple here. So
Yeah.
the most I'm ever going to draw out of it is 100 amps at 50 volts. And the equation here is P, power, equals I times E. I being current and E being voltage. So 100 amps
Okay.
at 50 volts is 5,000 watts. So what I've
All
done
right.
is I've told the BMSs, do not put out more than 50 amps. And because I've got 1, 2, 3 strings, I I can put out 150 amps, but the inverter never has the ability to draw that. So I'm safe.
Okay. What about fuses are your best friend? I fuse the hell out of my battery bank. Cheap, safety, but effective. You also need surge protection and lightning protection. What have you got set up?
I use breakers. I don't use fuses.
No fuses.
Uh,
What's
no
the
fuses.
so what's the difference? Why so he uses why does he say this and what's your take? Because both of you.
Fuses are more fuses are more common. Fuses are cheaper
Okay.
on your initial install. Um, uh, 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 fuses typically will give you a visual representation that is really easy to look at and go, look at that fuse is blown. Um, Breakers,
Okay.
not so much. They kind of pop into the middle, but I like fuses.
Okay.
Surge protection, it's an isolated system. It's literally a whole. Okay, in the digital world, you have something called a UPS, an uninterruptible power supply, and
Which
it sits between.
I have that right here in my
Yep.
office. Here I have that so I don't lose anything because the power goes out here. And I have another one of those in my bedroom too, but a small one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, what you're looking at is I literally have a home UPS. I have batteries, I have an inverter, and I I don't have a grid input. So I don't get surges. I don't get
Oh,
voltage
that's right.
spikes.
Okay.
You
So
know,
a
I
grid
mean,
input is when you are, let's say you have your solar and you're tied into your power. Like I was thinking if that happened with me, I might be power, tied in. Our power is carbon. We have no carbon. We have carbon free. All my electric is from Niagara Falls. It's
yep,
hydropower. So
yep.
if I did, but I don't know the rules around here. I haven't, looked into all that yet. But okay.
Yeah. Now, so when the inverter, which is the picture you have up now,
Yeah.
I have programmed that inverter, and this is just, a bunch of settings in the inverter.
Yeah.
It uses solar first, then it
Okay.
rolls to, if solar doesn't meet the loads,
Right.
then it rolls to battery. And if the battery hits a low set point, then it will attach to the grid and
Yeah.
nibble power from the grid to recharge the batteries
Gotcha.
and supply the loads. But if you design the system correctly, it rarely, if never, ever draws from the grid. So, my power is always 120 volts. It's a perfect goddamn sine wave all the time with no voltage excursions, no spikes, no brownouts, no blah blah blah. I mean, literally, I have a whole campus UPS system here. And where did I get that from? I worked in the IT community. When you build a data center, you have these enormous UPSs. I mean, they're bigger than people, kind of big. And the reason those are there is in case you get a brownout, a spike, a power loss from the grid, the data center has to keep running. And it has
Yes.
to keep running on an instantaneous basis until the diesel generators that they have as a backup fire up, get warmed up, and can start supplying power.
Okay.
So I've just eliminated the goddamn diesel out of the equation because I don't need to be up 24/7. And the reality is that as soon as the battery, assuming that it rolls to the battery, let's say at night. So when the sun goes down, I'm not producing any solar energy. So I'm drawing off my battery bank, right?
Hmm.
Because that's the priority. Solar first, then battery, then utility. And I've sized the battery bank to get 42 hours worth of runtime
Right.
based on
Okay.
my campus electrical draw, which is typically less than a kilowatt on average.
Yeah, and of course
So
you're not on the grid, so you're not that equation is not even a
yeah,
thing for you.
yeah, but I do. Again, I looked at what my power draw was over years, and I said, when I was implementing this system, literally rotating from a 12-volt system to a 48-volt system, I had, I don't know, 10, 15 years worth of history on what my power consumption was. So I had that pretty much nailed down.
Okay.
And that's how I know that didn't need more than 30 kilowatt hours worth of battery storage if I wanted 42 hours worth of, roughly 3 days worth of, or 2 days worth of runtime. Um, because over the years, I've never gone more than about 2 days of no sunshine. I walk out and I'll scrape this snow off the solar panels if we get bad snow. By the way, I'm looking at my panels. We got 17 inches of snow, and I'm looking at my
Poor
panels
you.
right now, and all the snow just melted and fell off.
It did. I was going to ask you
They,
about that actually in the snow. A lot of us are in the air, in the snow, and I think some of the questions were about the snow. And I had said, I think when you were on the space, and I have these solar lights and solar cameras outside, and they seem to work. It doesn't matter. They seem to be powered with the snow on them and with the snow not on them. Why don't we talk about that a little bit since you just brought up that you're friggin' in the snowstorm in Minnesota?
yeah. Okay. So all solar panels made in the last 15 years or so are sensitive not just to visible light, but they're also sensitive to ultraviolet.
Right.
And the reason that's important, if you go out snowboarding or you get out in the snow and you're playing, you're going to get a sunburn, right?
Right.
Well, that's because of reflected UV radiation, ultraviolet light. All solar
Right.
panels made in the last 15 years are sensitive in the UV. UV penetrates snow.
Okay.
Visible light, not so much. Now, the other thing is that, well, I used to have solar panels up on the roof. Thank God I don't have them up there anymore. Um, but going up there to scrape off the snow, it's 30 below zero. My
Yeah.
hands are getting cold. So what I would do is I would take off my gloves and put my hands on the solar panels to warm them up because at 30 below zero, they're still running at about 100 degrees
Oh.
Fahrenheit.
Okay. Okay.
Um, uh, so if you want, let's assuming that we got a really bad snow and I wanted my solar panels to clear themselves because I'm a lazy fuck and I don't want to go out there with the broom with a 12
You're a
foot
lazy
extension on it.
fuck. You're a lazy. I don't
All I
think.
have to do,
I don't think you're a lazy fuck. I
yeah,
don't.
I am. Yeah, I am.
Okay, fine.
Um, so,
You
so what you
know
do is you
you.
go
I
out and
don't.
you go out and you clear off about 1 square foot at the top of the solar panels.
Okay.
That allows that area of the panel to get hot. That then starts to melt the snow
Yep.
into water, which runs underneath the snowpack that's on the rest of the panel. And eventually it lubricates the panel and all the snow goes whomp onto the
Right.
ground.
Right. I've never thought about having them on my roof either. What you have right there is the setup that I would just love, if I did go off the grid. And somebody had said in the comments actually that hydro is not so renewable. I don't know what it was. I can't I didn't I don't think I don't think I took the I
Oh,
starred the
and by the
comment.
way,
Yeah.
and when my system, if it ever does roll to the grid, I
Yeah.
have gone to my power company, Lake Country Power by name, and I said,
Yeah.
"Listen, I want to buy wind power."
Oh.
And they have a program, multiple programs actually, different sources of wind power and solar.
Yeah.
And I have said, "Listen, if I'm buying power, I want to buy wind power." Now, that wind power in specific comes from southern Minnesota out of a project run by a bunch of farmers called Minwin.
Okay.
And so
We've
I'm supporting my farmers in southern Minnesota doing it. And the power that I'm using when my system rolls to the grid is from a renewable source.
yeah. Yeah, we have uh, a lot. Well, not my county, but one county over, Wyoming County, has gazillions of windmill projects. I don't know if they're farmer owned though. I actually don't know. Oh, here's the
Well,
comment. Here, wait. I want to bring up the hydro comment because when we get our power bill, we're told that we don't burn carbon because it's hydro and solar and wind that we draw off of. And we are a municipality. We are not paying any middleman or any big company. Hydro's a myth because it has so many adverse effects. Well, yeah, that's true. On anything to do with rivers, societies depend on rivers. Right. Ours is from the falls. I mean, the Niagara Falls, the river there, it's been so long. It's probably already ruined whatever it's going to ruin. But it
well,
go it
Niagara Falls was there before they put power stations on it too. I mean,
yeah.
uh, I mean, if you've ever seen pictures of Niagara, if you've ever been to Niagara Falls, which I
Yeah.
have, by the way,
Oh yeah,
it's
I'm
fucking
not far.
impressive.
Yeah, I'm
It's
I'm
fucking
not far.
impressive.
I lived right by there, so yeah.
Yeah.
The power is insane. It is insane. I've seen all of the power how the power companies are built on the water. It's not on the falls, it's on the river, the Niagara River.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
where it all is. But it comes down here. It's generated all the way down here, which is probably 100 miles southeast of the falls. Probably maybe a
Yeah.
little give or take.
From a at least from a United States standpoint, we aren't going to be installing any more hydro, and the reason is basically if there's a river that has enough drop in it, we've already dammed it and already
Yeah.
built the hydro on it. We don't have any more rivers that are suitable for doing large scale. hydrogeneration.
And not
We've
only
already
that,
done it.
we have no more water in the West. I mean, they're
Yeah,
drying up.
literally.
We were just talking about it with Carolyn Baker, who is was on Friday night, and she lives in Colorado, and they're very worried about the water, the Colorado River. They're worried about fires. I mean, it's just it's a scary time to be alive. It is.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I had a wind generator for the better part of 10 or 12 years and eventually took it down because I needed to build it was on a guide tower, and I needed one of the guy wires is in the way when I wanted to build a bigger building.
Okay.
Anyway, so I took it down. But, uh, uh, the one thing that you have to understand, and this is a point I keep trying to hammer home is
Mm-hmm.
anytime you have rotating machinery, it's gonna wear out. I
Mm-hmm.
don't care how over engineered it is. Eventually, you're going to have to replace a bearing or something's going to wear out. It's moving.
Right.
There's friction. It's going to wear out.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
solar panels, there's no moving fucking parts. There's nothing to wear out. I mean,
Ex-
literally, this is a fire and forget solution.
but the batteries and the terminals and things like that, there's a difference there. What wears
Now
what let's
let's
talk
talk
about,
about
yeah,
batteries.
what wears out in breakers? What wears out in these things?
Breakers basically never wear out unless you trip them a lot of times. I mean, and
Okay.
again, we're back to movement again.
All
The
right.
more times you trip a breaker, the weaker they get. I mean,
Okay.
any electrician knows that.
Right.
So if
Right.
you design your system correctly,
Mhm.
the breakers never trip. The breakers in that solar combiner, for Christ's sakes, the only time I've ever tripped those breakers is when I want to monitor the voltage coming off a particular string. Other than that, they've never tripped in 8 years
Right.
on their
That's
own,
good.
from an overcurrent or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but the point I was driving at is, when you're talking about wind, it's got a plethora of moving parts in it
Mhm.
that wear out eventually. And they monitor these things for vibration. They have vibration sensors, da 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 da. But eventually they're going to wear out, and they're 300 fucking feet in the air,
Yeah.
and they weigh tons. I mean, the cell weight of a 1.5 megawatt GE wind
Coffee.
turbine is what, 20 fucking tons, and that doesn't include the blades or the hub. You know, it's just so if I were doing something and I wanted to invest money in something,
Yeah.
and I didn't want any ongoing maintenance costs, guess what? It wouldn't be a wind generator. It'd be fucking solar. There's nothing moving. Inverters, as long as you don't overdraw them, you don't blow FETs, you don't blow any of the electronics. And again, this goes back to good system design.
Mhm.
If you engineer it correctly, it just keeps going. I mean, that inverter you see hanging on the wall, Christ's sakes, that thing's 8 years. And it's been supplying power for 8 years continuously with no interruptions, like zero, none.
Wow.
Um,
That's impressive.
it's just now. Have I got in my learning experience? I have a boneyard of cheap ass fucking Chinese inverters. My God, I literally, I took them out of the shed because they were accumulating. It was a fucking pile on a fucking pallet. So you buy good quality equipment, name brand, good quality equipment, and guess what? It lives. It lasts. Um,
Um uh he said, Moon Man said, wind generators can be made maintenance friendly, pup. Don't completely shit on it.
well, It's a comparison.
Okay.
Now, I've been
Compare.
involved with large wind farm construction, most
Oh.
notably a company called Imp Energy.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, their whole business is to wander across the United States and put in wind farms. And I've gotten to talk to their engineers. Matter of fact, they were going to put one up here in southern Cass County, and I did most of the initial site surveys for them on where to plant it, where the substations were that had reserve capacity on the transformers, blah, 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 blah. So I'm intimately familiar. And I remember talking to one of their execs one time because I was thinking about putting up I mean, talk about a moneymaker, right?
Yeah.
And I looked at him and I said, so, I'm running these numbers, and I'm thinking, that's $33,000 a month per wind generator net profit. And he goes, yeah, but think of it like this way. You buy a shovel and you use it for 5, 10, 15 years, and then eventually you break the handle and you got to replace the handle. There's an ongoing cost.
All
And,
right.
and
I gotcha.
again, when you buy, for instance, when you buy when you finance, because well, not a lot of people have the money to just go out and buy one. But when you buy
Not me.
one of the things that GE will sell you is a maintenance and monitoring contract, and it
Okay.
costs about 60 grand a year. At least it did. I don't know when I was looking at it,
Mm-hmm.
and they literally have all these sensors on the wind generator and all the generation, the hubs, the bearings, the blades. I mean, they got sensors all over this thing, and they monitor that.
Mm-hmm.
And if they start to see a problem,
Okay.
what that maintenance and monitoring contract covers you for is for them to go out and fix the fucking thing.
Gotcha.
So it doesn't fly apart and send a 4-ton fucking blade a quarter mile away
No.
and land in somebody's house.
Right.
Okay.
Yeesh. That
But
yeah,
the
that's
point I'm
chilling.
Yeah, but the point I'm driving at
Yeah.
is that there is an ongoing maintenance cost, and you
Okay.
just don't have that with solar panels because there's no moving fucking parts. You know. Now
Yep.
on to batteries. On to batteries. With lithium iron phosphate batteries, I have an enormously conservative charging profile. Those batteries never, ever, ever get below 25% state of charge. And they never get charged above 85% state of
Right.
charge.
Right.
If you run them below 25% and then slam a bunch of current into them and run them up to 100%, you might get 8 years, 9 years, 10 years out of them. But if you run a very conservative charging profile, those batteries, those blue ones you're seeing in the
Mm-hmm.
picture,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be fucking dead before they need to be replaced.
Okay.
We're talking a 28-year lifespan,
Yeah.
literally as long as the warranty, longer than the warranty period on the solar panels.
Wow. All right,
Uh,
listen. We've got a lot of I've got a lot of starred questions. So I want to get started
go
because we've
for it.
been an hour and we're going to go back a little bit. Let's see. I want to go back, yeah, to Moon Man from the beginning. 5,000 can get you a 6 kilowatt system that'll cut your electric bill 90%. So which is basically
Absolutely.
what you said. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And to go back to the beginning, the reason why you did this was not because there's some people that joined after, they didn't hear you say, not because you were a tree hugger, because of expense, and you never ran from the grid because it was 20 plus $1,000, right?
That and okay. So Moon Man's right. And let me give you an example. When I did Jimmy and Sharon's system, total all-in cost,
Mm-hmm.
wire breakers, solar combiners, inverters, batteries, literally, all in everything, $5,500. And they haven't had an electrical
Okay.
bill in 2 years.
I like that. And so you were
Well,
talking
that's
about this setups, and this was another question too. How long does that setup last? And you just answered that. So B Murray, if you're still here.
hang on, hang on. Let me clarify something.
Okay.
They have the same kind of system I do. So if their
Yeah.
battery bank drops to nothing, it will grid tie and start nibbling away at power. Now, to
Okay.
do that or have that capability, our local power company charges to have the meter on the wall on the outside of the building. They have something called a service entrance fee. It's basically they're amortizing the cost of that $600 fucking power meter, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's $48 a month. So yes, they haven't gone to zero, but it's never more than 48 bucks, more than about 50 bucks a month. Period. End of line. And it's been that way for 2 years.
You know, that's what
But
my power bill was here until 2 months ago. And all of a sudden, they wrote us a letter that said for the next 3 months it was going to go up the municipality. I think maybe because they had some work to do, but it went up three times, like to 130 and 140. And I wasn't using that. And my whole house is electric except for the backup furnace. So, and that one that hangs down. So there was some issues.
yeah, now in all
Yeah.
reality, uh, Jimmy is a rebel, and we have had this conversation multiple times. He said,
Mm-hmm.
after this system has a couple of years under its belt, and I feel confident that it can do what we need to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell a fucking power company to come out and pull a meter, and I'm going to get rid of that $48 a month fee. Fuck them.
Oh, yeah. Although, you know how
Yeah.
I feel here is because we are a municipality. I feel happy and I don't mind paying my electric bill because I know that it's supporting my little tiny municipality that takes care of everything right here. I mean, we again, it's when you see somebody working on the lines, they're local. They're just one of my
Yeah.
neighbors that works
Yeah.
for the town. It is run by our small town of probably less than 2,000 people. And we want to
Yeah.
keep it that way.
Yeah. Now, okay. So another reason that I went renewables and tried to get away from the grid is I knew that I was going to be retiring. That's why I
Yeah.
bought this place. And I knew that I was going to be living off a fixed income. Now, inflation runs around 7.5% per year. My retirement pensions,
Hmm.
I get a cost of living adjustment. And that typically is around 2.5% a year.
Right.
So every year, I'm literally anticipating that I'm going to be 5% down. And if you
Sure.
start running the numbers, if any of you guys out there are bankers and you can amortize a 5% interest rate
Right.
over a 20-year period, now I'm, 10 years into this, I'm starving in the fucking dark. I literally don't have enough money to stay alive, to buy food, blah, 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 blah.
Join the club lately. It's been brutal this year for me. I'm
Well,
sorry. I hate to be
and,
that
and,
way.
and also, yeah,
I'm not
so
going to
part
cry
of this
about it.
also was hedging my bet against not starving in the fucking dark.
Yeah.
Having enough money to continue my quality of life. When I get to be an old fuck. Now, the second reason, shifting to Jimmy and Sharon, and in general, looking at the landscape of power, Minnesota has been running at a deficit for the last 15 years. In other words, inside the state, we do not generate as much power as we use, and the deficit is increasing, which means that the cost of electricity is going to continue to go up because they got to build generation, right? Well, and upgrade the grid because as you add generation and power demands increase, da 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 da. Eventually, what's going to happen is if you have solar right now, there's the reason I'm not grid tied, and grid tied means that I can feed power back into the grid.
Right.
Um,
Right.
the reason I'm not grid tied is number one, they don't pay me what I pay them for the power, so it's a loss there. I buy power at 16, and evidently now it's going up to 17, almost 18 cents a kilowatt hour. But they only pay me the avoided cost rate, which is 10 cents a kilowatt hour if I pump it back into the wire.
I have a
So
question.
that's a loser.
What
Yep.
if
Go.
you said, okay, and if you said, now I know you said it was like 23,000 back in the day to put the power in, and if you were to then sell power to the company, would you still have to pay that to connect to the grid?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, so it's stupid. It's yeah, for you it's ridiculous. Right. I'm already
Well,
on there. Yeah.
so what's happening, at least here in Minnesota, and I suspect it's probably happening nationwide, is they can't build generation as fast as demand increases. And what
Oh,
I anticipate happening is eventually, maybe in the next couple of years, and maybe now that we've got fossil fuels going through the fucking roof,
yeah.
um, these little power companies are going to start walking around to all the people that they know that have solar that aren't grid tied. And they're going to say, well,
Mm.
we'll relax our requirements to grid tie if you'll feed us your excess energy. And
Makes sense. I wonder if, because of what we're seeing, if there'll be more incentives statewide. I know the federal government is fucked, but statewide, I know New York State has things. I'm sure that if I looked hard enough, I could probably find some kind of program or discount, but I don't want to use one of those companies either. I wouldn't want to have to tie myself to get a grant or discount only specifically to use a company that's going to cost me ridiculous amounts of money.
well,
I like the way you've done it.
and that's another interesting topic also. Uh, and I would counsel never, ever, never, 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 ever, never, never base your cost projections and profitability off of some legislation. Okay,
Okay.
some incentive program or blah 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 blah. And I can cite you a really because those incentive programs are created with the stroke of a pen, and they
Mm,
can go away just as fast.
sure.
And let me give you an example. Under the Biden administration, we had a $7,500 clean vehicle rebate.
Yep.
The instant that fucking Trump got in office,
It
he
went.
shit canned that.
Of course.
And
Yeah.
you know, so these tax incentives, for putting in solar or putting in this or putting in that or making yourself, adding insulation or whatever, those are created with the stroke of a pen, and they can go away as fast. So
Right.
if you're planning if you're planning on a 2 year, 3 year, 4 year time frame, i.e., how long our election cycle is for
Yeah.
president,
Yeah.
then yeah, okay. If you can amortize it in 4 years, go for it. If you can't, then you're potentially committing financial suicide.
How about this one? Nuclear winter could diminish your output, pup. Given what we're seeing now. Oh,
Yeah,
jeez.
it sure will.
Thanks, Bill.
But my power
God, I
output's
don't
going to
mean
be
to
the least
laugh.
of my worries in a
Yeah, right.
nuclear winter.
We're fucked every which way. I know. I don't mean to laugh, but if we don't have a little bit of a smile on our face, I would never. I don't know. That's why you're here with us today because we really needed to do some proactive programming on this topics because I want to teach people. We didn't even get to talk about heat pumps, and that's a whole. I think that's going to be. You're going to have to come back for that because we're already an hour and 15 minutes. I want to get to some more questions. I think I'll bring you back for that because there were people definitely that wanted to talk about heat pumps. So let's get, and we already talked about the vertical and the double sided panels, which somebody had. Let's see. Oh, okay. What about, let's see, in large solar farms, there's multiple inverters and a big section of the collectors are shut off, awaiting for maintenance. Question: how much capacity? If that
Yeah,
happens.
okay. So, well, I guess maybe we should get into a little bit of industrial solar.
All
Um,
right.
so, uh, 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 when you are and by the way, I'm planning. I'm in the planning stage and working toward installing a 400 megawatt solar array.
Mm-hmm.
And let's put this into context. You can get about 200 kilowatt per acre. So start running the numbers. We're talking about a lot of fucking ground here.
I don't like it, but
There,
that's my opinion.
there's no way where I live, in the region I live in, that I can find one big hunk of ground to do that on.
Right.
Can't do it. Just sorry. The all the land has been sectioned up, and you can't find one contiguous. Not in my region, at least. Down south, you probably could out in the desert, but not up here. So what I'm doing is the target is 400 megawatt, and I've
Mm-hmm.
gone to my local power company, and they have 43 substations, and I know where those are, and I know what the reserve capacity is on each one of those substations. And what I'm in the process of doing right now is finding a chunk of ground near that substation that I can put up, say, a 40 acre, 60 acre chunk of ground that I can put up 20 megawatt on.
And what's the point for 400 megawatts?
Well,
Again.
if I put up 20 megawatt on 43 substations, that'll be an 800 and some odd megawatt system. It'll be almost a gigawatt.
Okay.
And I'm doing it to be quite perfectly fucking honest, is
Yeah.
because the revenue stream off it is just hideous.
Oh.
I mean, it is just ridiculously profitable.
All right,
Now,
wait a minute. Wait a minute. Go back. So you say you're not on the grid, but you're putting up four. Can you explain this? I'm confused. You're putting up 400 megawatt,
that's the
but you're not
target
on the
goal.
grid. But then you're talking about a revenue stream. Let's go back a little here.
Okay. So, solar install up and running, you can sell power profitably. Okay. So, when you build a large solar array, it's a 5 year loan,
Oh,
right?
okay.
In 5 years, if you're selling power, you install solar and you're selling power in excess of 3 cents a kilowatt hour, you'll pay the loan off in 5 years.
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
I have gone to my local power company and said, "What are you buying power for?" And they said 7 cents a kilowatt hour. That just went up to eight, by the way.
Okay.
And I said, "Well, if I could sell you power at 5 cents a kilowatt hour, would you buy it?" And they went, "Not only no, well, not only yes, but fuck yes,
So they will put you on the grid then.
yes, that
But you
array,
said
but not my
oh, not
home,
now, not now. Okay,
but
I
not
got you.
my home."
Gotcha. All right. See, I had a little disconnect, but I'm good. Perfect. All right. So you're
So
looking for, and this is on your own property.
no,
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 you're
no,
looking
no,
for
no.
other property. Okay, I
I'm
missed something.
looking for other properties because
Yeah.
I want to buy the land, put the solar on it, start generating power, and sell it at a 4 cent per kilowatt hour markup.
Is this just for profit, or does this mean
Yes,
is this so? It's just for profit for you. You're kind of like a
yes.
libertarian. You're looking at it and you don't give a shit about the green energy thing.
Well, it is green energy because
I
it's
know,
solar.
but I mean, you want to make money. You're a
Well,
cat.
I got to live,
Yeah. Okay. I'm
and
just saying. Listen. I'm just.
I can run a business, make a profit, and not fuck up the planet in the process.
Okay.
And that's what my goal is.
All right. And how will you not fuck up the planet putting the solar panels on the land? Because I know we talked about this on your space when you did this. There was a couple of questions. There was the question about what happens when the shit hits the fan as far as tornadoes and getting all those solar panels get destroyed and what happens to them, and then what happens to the land underneath it. I know that there was comments that wait,
Okay.
where is it? Wait,
Okay.
it's getting more efficient over rivers, and solar farming is a new efficient trend. So talk about this.
Okay. So let's get into. So you want to put up a large solar array, 20 megawatt or larger, because you
Okay.
really can't get financing on anything smaller than about 20 megawatt. By the way, it's easier to get financing on a 20 megawatt array than it is to get a 20 kilowatt on your house.
Right.
Anyway,
Right.
um, so what you do is you find a chunk of ground you can buy that's near a substation because your transmission line costs are like well, for 130 kV lines, 130 kilovolt lines, it's about $60 a foot. So
Mm-hmm.
you want to be snuggled right up against a fucking substation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
All right.
so you find a chunk of ground.
Hmm.
and I'll use an example. I'm looking at a particular 62 acre piece of ground. I can get 26 megawatt on that chunk of ground. Um,
Right.
so when I go to do get the financing, the first
Hmm.
thing I have to prove to the company or investors or the bank that's going
Hmm.
to give me the money is
Hmm.
that I have to guarantee that that system will be up and running for the term of the loan, i.e., 5 years.
Okay.
So the first thing I do is the solar panels aren't a problem because they're warranted for 20 or 25 years. They're not
Yeah.
a problem. The inverters, you go to the company that you select the inverter and you go to the company in the negotiation and say, listen, it comes standard with a 5 year warranty. I need you to blow that out to 20 years.
Okay.
And
Gotcha.
they're going to charge you more for those inverters because they got to warranty them for 4 times as long. So you're paying a premium price for the inverters. But now, if one of them fucks up, you don't have any cost of replacement. Then and you literally do this for the racking and all the components in the system. So now all your parts are covered under a minimum of a 20-year warranty.
What happens to the waste if a tornado like we saw these
Uh, wait,
tornadoes?
wait one,
What
wait one. We're getting there. We're
Okay.
getting there.
All right, all right, all right, all
So
right.
so we've covered the parts part of
Yep.
the warranty, but now you have to cover the labor cost
Yep.
because if a tornado comes through
Yep.
and destroys your solar farm, you got to clean it up and replace all the panels and cover the labor to put the fucking panels back up, right?
Oh, yeah.
That you buy an insurance policy for. The same way you get an insurance policy on your house, where if a tree falls on your house, the insurance company eats it and they replace your house or they replace your roof or whatever.
Okay, I have one quick question. In these times now where the insurance companies are pulling out of places like Florida or, like because of the environmental issues, can you be sure you'll get insurance?
In my neck of the woods,
You'll be able,
absolutely. Down
okay.
in Florida, not so fucking much.
All right. So that's what I wanted to make sure. All right. Great.
You're
Great, great,
not getting
great.
insurance to build a house on the side of a mud hill in California either, for that matter. You
Right.
know,
Right. We
but
know, yeah,
now
we've done.
with the covering the concern about, oh, you're going to take up a bunch of farmland.
Well, yeah, everybody talks
You could
about
be growing
that.
food on. The
That's
62-acre plot that I'm initially looking at is already in a hayfield. They're not farming it. Nobody's been farming that for as long as I've lived here, and that's 28 years.
Okay, because
Well,
Linda's in
28.
Canada and she said there's a controversy here because I live in farm country. That good farmland has been used, which is actually happening here too. Where I live, it's all farm, and we've had solar farms put up. And then Brett's saying, well, why can't why not put solar over car parking lots, interstate highways, multi-lane roads? Seems like a no-brainer. I don't know about anyone else's thoughts. Of course, we love that.
Oh, they should be putting up bifacials alongside the highway.
Yeah,
Absolutely. We've
absolutely.
got millions of miles worth of goddamn highway.
Yeah.
Just from we want to put street lights up on our highways. Fucking run bifacial solar panels vertical in the on the right hand side in the median oh my God, we could power fucking America
So
if
why
all we did
isn't
is just
that
put
done?
bifacials up there.
Is it not
Because
done?
we got morons in our administration. That's why.
All right, listen. Maybe we should do a flush of the day. Should we do the first flush? All right, guys.
Oh,
Yeah, we're gonna flush the morons. Sorry, we have to do it. We have to do it. We have to do it. We flushed the
so,
morons. we
so in
have we
my
have to do
project,
it. Okay.
so in my project plan, one of the
Yes.
requirements is to not convert arable farmland land that is being used to create food, to not use that land. In
Right.
other words, I'm looking for parcels of land that, number one, aren't being used for farmland and don't have trees on it. Because I don't want to pay to fucking cut the goddamn trees down for
No, and
no other damn reason.
we don't want them cut down. What about hunting land, which is typically treed? So you're looking for land that can't be used for farming and can't be used for hunting. Do a
That is
lot of
in
hunting
close proximity to the
to this.
substation I'm
Okay.
going to be feeding power to.
All right.
And
All
yeah,
right.
it's tricky. Yeah, it's tricky.
And
You know,
yeah, and then the other issue, solar panels are recyclable. We didn't get to that
yes.
yet. In the tornado that comes and destroys the whole freaking place, what happens?
Well, and if you look at that pictures, I believe it. Recently on Twitter, it was all those pictures of that
Yeah,
solar farm out in Ohio.
yeah.
A lot of those panels were just ripped from the racking, and they're the ones that are going to go into the fucking salvage market, like Santan Solar.
Oh,
They're going to get
so,
resold as used
but
panels.
even if they're broken, even if they're folded, I mean, what
You can
happened?
you can spider web. You can. I've got two panels. Oh God. Uh, So, middle of a couple of winters ago,
Yeah.
we got it was warm. We got the slushy snow that then immediately froze because it went down, dropped down to 20 below the next day. So now I've got ice on the fucking panels, right? So I went out with my broom, was trying to scrape it off, couldn't get the fucking, I got it down to the ice.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck. So I twisted the broom 90 degrees and started smacking the panels, right?
Yeah.
Well, I spider webbed two of them.
Okay.
Guess what? They put out the same amount of power as the ones that aren't spider webbed.
Oh.
And
So
I haven't even replaced them.
you learned
You
something.
can really damage the shit out of these things,
All right.
and they still put out rated power.
All right. All right. Let's
Now,
see. Go
one
ahead.
other quick topic. When you're
Yes.
designing an array, and this is one of the scams that some of these solar installers will use. I'm
Yeah.
at 47 degrees latitude.
Yep.
Guess what? All solar panels are rated at 1,000 watts of solar irradiance per square meter.
Okay.
At 47 degrees latitude, I'm not at 1,000 watts per square meter. Not even fucking close. I'm,
Okay.
historically, and my inverter keeps, does data logging. In the summer, I'm at 700. In the wintertime, I'm a lot less than that. I'm down around 500. Point I'm driving at
Mm-hmm.
is when you're designing the array, you have to take into consideration where on the planet you are and your solar irradiance.
Right. Right.
So
Very
a
important, I'd say.
250 a 250 watt panel where I am on the planet is never, ever, ever, never, never, never going to put out 250 watts. It's going to put out 180.
Mm,
You have to include that in your design. You
okay.
have to understand the devil is in the details.
Right.
And one of the scams
So,
is
yeah.
one of
Yeah.
the scams is these solar companies will issue you a quote based off of nameplate capacity. But if you're at 45 degrees latitude, those panels are never going to put out nameplate capacity. And
Mm-hmm.
that means the revenue stream is never going to match what their numbers they've indicated in their proposal.
Okay. All right, listen, I've got a very important question here. And this is my girlfriend Susan, and she recently there was a solar farm that was built near her and it's really messed up her county. What about heavy metals like cadmium that leach from the panels from breakage and degradation over time?
In a large solar array, because they have an insurance policy, that will cover the cleanup of that soil.
Yeah, but that's the problem. That it has to be cleaned up in the first place. That's what she's concerned about.
Well, that's the. Let me tell you, when you sign on for a large solar array, you sign an agreement. In my case, it's with MISO
All right.
that guarantees that I will be putting out that power to the grid. Period. End of line. And any disruption to that output,
Mm-hmm.
they are going to charge me
Mm-hmm.
for the power that I'm not putting into the grid because my solar array got scramdibly dumbled by some act of God. My insurance company, the insurance policy I have on that array, I am a motivated motherfucker to get that goddamn thing cleaned up and new
Okay.
panels up
All right.
because I'm literally paying money,
Right.
or my insurance company is paying money every month or every day or every hour that array is not feeding power back into the grid. And it's an enormous amount of money over a 1 month period. I mean, like an enormous, we're talking potentially, depending on the size of the array, hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe even millions of dollars per month. That insurance company is going to want to get that cleaned up and up and running post fucking haste because they don't want to pay that bill.
Susan
It's
asked
all about
another
the money,
question. What
Sandy.
about the wells? Does it poison the wells, the water?
Not Not if you get it cleaned up fast enough. And the other thing is, at least in my neck of the woods, my well is 219 feet deep. I literally could go out there and dump crude oil on the top of the ground, and it would take a century to get down to my water table. And
All
remember
right.
that these guys are going to want to clean that up immediately.
What are the statistics on these kind of problems, first of all? How often does this happen on solar farms? That the destruction or the pollution or the cleanups? Are there statistics on that?
I don't, well, because the solar revolution is so new,
Okay.
renewable energy revolution is so new. I don't think anybody's developed any kind of stats yet, simply
We're
because
going
it
to
just
need them.
literally hasn't been in existence long enough.
All right. Because I understand Susan's concerns living right next to
Oh, I do too.
a gigantic one, and she was so upset, and it's been very traumatic for her considering what she's been looking at. Yeah, 13,000 panels are next to her
Yeah, and
home.
that's a relatively small array, actually.
Yeah, but
That's a relatively small array.
she
That
has she
60,
looks at it.
that
Yeah.
62-acre plot that I'm talking about,
Yeah.
turning, a 26 megawatt array, there's 17,000 panels that'll go up on that
All right.
62 acres.
Moonman just said
That's
the
a
panel.
relatively small
All right.
array.
The panels do leach, but the toxicity is 1% compared to blacktop roads. So there is some information. I trust him because he does his homework.
Yep.
He's my buddy. And a very nice one. Okay, so
Well, and let's dig a little deeper into that 1% compared to a blacktop tar road.
yeah,
Holy crap! And
yeah,
how many bazillion miles of tarred road do we have
a
in
lot.
America?
Yeah, yeah,
I I can't even imagine. It's got to be literally in the billions of miles of tarred road
billions.
that's 33 feet wide.
She also says that they built it on top of an aquifer where her water comes from. Was that
Yep.
short sighted, stupid? Because I know that there was
Well,
a lot of problems in her town when they were building it and a lot of fighting, and it was done anyway because of profit and not environmental concerns. And I know they did an environmental impact in New York State. I mean, the New
well,
York State DEC is quite sophisticated.
well. Let me interject something. I'm half Lakota. And you know, my family comes from Pine Ridge. So think
Okay.
Dakota Access Pipeline kind of sensitivity here.
Yes, hun.
Um,
Hmm.
I mean, look at the pictures. We were fighting those guys
I know. I was
tooth
all
and,
through
tooth and
that.
fucking nail.
I didn't go, but we were fighting our own pipeline called the Northern Access Pipeline here, concurrent with Dakota, and I was covering it. I was
Yeah,
covering it because I've been doing this for a long time, and we won. We won
yeah,
here. Didn't get
yeah.
built.
The Ojibwe here were fighting the natural gas pipeline coming through too.
Yeah.
They didn't fare so well, unfortunately. Uh, but and then again, understand that you're talking about a buried pipe versus something that's sitting above the ground. Now, an aquifer, by definition, is
Hmm.
more than a couple of 100 feet underground.
Okay.
It takes a long time for things that happen on the surface to permeate down several hundred feet through dirt and rock. Um,
Yeah.
100,000 miles of highway in the U.S. Is that all? That's highway,
That's what
Alex.
that's what Alex said. Yeah, that's all. I just
Yeah, that's highways.
yeah.
You're not talking about all the little fucking two-lane blacktops.
Yeah.
There's got to be millions of miles of that.
Yeah, there are definitely. All right, so let me see what
Keep
Kim.
fighting them. Keep
Yeah,
fighting them.
we definitely we had to reopen the fight for the northern access because these people, we have a moratorium on fracking, but they wanted to go through from Pennsylvania all the way through all our farmlands, take people's property. I mean, friends of my property, with eminent domain, and go under the Niagara River, and it was just disgusting. And the Senecas and the Onondagas were very, involved. It was a big thing. It was a
Yeah,
big
you don't
thing.
want to fuck with the Senecas. They'll kick your ass. Um,
They're my buddies. My daughter's ex-boyfriend, best friend, we're Seneca. We're connected
well,
at the hip.
they're great people as
We're
long as you don't
connected at
piss
the.
them off.
No, I've been
Same
with.
thing with Lakota.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're connected at the hip. One of my best friends is Seneca.
Yeah,
So I was
one
we're
of the battles we're fighting here in Minnesota right now is
yeah.
Pete Stauber pioneered or started putting these bills through to open up the uh, uh, Lake of the Woods up by the Canadian border, which is absolutely fucking pristine. And they want to put in a copper mine up there, which is, oh, the crap that they'll
Oof.
release into the fucking Mississippi River and shit. It's just, and we've been fighting him. He's a fucking trump card. And I,
Ugh,
I,
awful.
I won't say on a public space what I would like to have happen to him, but I wish he'd end up in Walter Reed Hospital. Anyway,
Yeah, well, I would say that everybody here feels the same way, sweetheart. Yeah.
but
All right,
yeah,
let's
no,
see.
it's just disastrous. I mean, as a kid, I was up there canoeing and portaging between all the. These lakes are so clear. You get out in a canoe in the middle of the lake, and you can look down 60 feet and see the trout. 60 feet down, they're that clean.
Hmm.
If you left a candy bar wrapper, remember the old days of pop
Mm-hmm.
top
Mm,
cans?
mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
fine for leaving a pop top, just the pull tab, was $5,000. If a ranger saw you leave a candy bar wrapper, it was a
Yeah.
$5,000 fine.
Rangers, what's that? They're just decimating
Y-
now our wild everything in this country.
Yeah, yeah,
All right, listen,
but
let's go move on a little bit cuz I have to go to
yep.
the bathroom. I drank so much coffee. All right. Why is China becoming such experts in three-phase power transmission? How come they send power so many miles, and why is it so effective or efficient?
Well, okay. When you have a rotating generator,
Mm-hmm.
about 99% of them are three phase. And I mean, that's kind of like the industry standard. If you walk out, for instance, if I walk down 1,000 feet to the highway and I look up at the power pole, there are three wires and then a fourth wire. And the three wires are the three phases,
Yeah.
phase A, B, and C. And then the fourth wire is your neutral, which provides the reference for each one of the phases. It's just the way, until you get into DC, and what they're finding now, at least for high voltage transmission lines, they're finding that DC is more efficient than three phase. But it really boils down to the cost of installation of a big fat DC wire versus three smaller AC wires. Um, it's just it's just because they've got to move power around a very big country, and they figured out they're learning how, or they've learned how to do it with three phase power,
Okay.
because that's kind of the industry standard. Three phase motors also bring to the table, and this is going to get a little on the technical side. If you have a single phase or a split phase motor, To get the motor running, you have to put a cap in one of the windings to give it the little kick to get it going. With three-phase power, because the phases are continuously rotating, you don't have to have that cap. Uh, 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 a good example of that is if you've got an air compressor, that's a capacitor start, capacitor run motor,
Mm-hmm.
um, and you got to have a really big cap. That's why your lights blink when your compressor comes on. But in a three-phase motor, because the phases are always rotating, you don't need the cap. Well, that makes the cost of the motor less. And because you're now powering it with three phases versus one or two, the motor can physically be smaller and consequently less expensive. So for a given horsepower, a three-phase motor is cheaper to
Mm-hmm.
build, manufacture, and buy than a single phase or a split phase motor. And
Okay.
that's why they use three-phase power.
All right. Let's see here. We're
By
probably
the way,
going
the
to,
alternator in
yeah.
your car is a three-phase alternator, and
Oh,
then has a three-phase rectifier that then rectifies all those three phases into DC current that then charges your battery, runs your headlights, and blah blah blah.
right. Okay. He's talking about a capacitor. Okay. Okay. Let me see here. We've got some comments. Okay. Solar panels. Hi, Tommy. Are cool technology, but the idea of trying to maintain business as usual by alternative means will cause more damage. You see, I have that big picture also, but we're here, we're here now. And so I suppose we're going to do, we in, or humans or humanity is going to try to do whatever they can. I mean, everybody knows there's no, I'm not going to hide it. I'm a doomer, and I have been because I don't see the big picture as so wonderful. But I do see that these small steps, at least for personal, I don't know, if we could, are ever really going to, if these problems are insurmountable. I don't think so, but we
Well,
can't,
I
we're
think
not going to stop. Go ahead.
Alex in the climate crisis space, and Alex, you could chime in and tell me, correct me, but yesterday in the climate crisis space, he listed the statistic that if we used 1% of the surface area
Yeah.
on Earth and put
Yeah.
up solar on it, which is ends up being a country the size of France,
Yeah.
we can power the fucking world. 1%. I mean, the sun hits us with so much power every instant, and uh,
But
we
powering the
only need.
world at what cost? I mean, what cost is powering the world going to do? I mean, these are things we really have to look, I guess, look and talk about further that we won't today. But, and I'm not, saying a naysayer. I like solar, and even the biggest doomers use solar batteries and backup and all of that. We're not, I'm certainly not saying forget it, don't do it, stay on fossil fuels at all, because like Dale says, the cost of continuing fossil fuels is disgusting. I hate
Oh
them.
well, from a purely accounting standpoint, I mean, we based our energy production off of a depletable resource. We can debate how long
Right.
that resource, fossil fuels in particular, liquid and semi-solids and solids, are going to be here. But eventually, we're going to eat them all up. Period. End of line. It's a depletable resource. The sun's going to be around, I don't know, for another what, 4 billion years or some such shit. Do you want to base it off of something you know is going to go away in 130 years max, or do
Yeah.
you want to base it off of something that's going to go away in 4 billion years? Let's
Yeah.
start equating this to generations. A generation is 21 years. 130 years ends up being what, six, seven generations? And now we're out of energy. But if we base it off of solar, we're at, I don't know, how many million generations away? You know, and do you think maybe in some of those million plus generations, we're going to find something that's better, smoother, smaller, cleaner, better? I'm betting on it. I won't be here to see it, but I'm betting on it.
Mm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
at some point in time, we're going to figure out how to fucking make energy out of mouse turds. you know, and it'll be the most efficient, most wonderful thing on the planet. Um, yeah, I mean, cow parts. I don't know. We'll figure out something. But in the interim period, it,
That's all I could think of is the interim. To me, looking at the big picture, the way our world is, we're in wars, potential of a nuclear war. I mean, I think humanity is kind of screwed. But that's my feeling of the big picture. It doesn't mean I'm right. It really doesn't. It's just I am not.
let's just hope and understand, that three of the four subs I rode were ballistic missile subs. So I'm really, 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 really familiar with nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
Let's really hope that nobody even uses, the littlest itty
But we've
bittiest babyest one.
this is a whole other topic, I know, but there's psychopaths in charge. So we don't want to
Yeah.
go there right now. We don't have time, but I want you to come back. We're almost an hour. I want you to come back. I do, because we never even got to even talk about the heat pumps or any of that, but it's kind of late. Can
Well,
BRICS shut down our U.S. forever war economy by ending all petroleum trades in currency other than dollars? Hmm.
that's an interesting question.
Yeah, I would
Um,
say that's a good question. I like that
well,
question. It's big. It might be
yeah,
I
yeah.
have to go to the bathroom while you're answering it.
Well,
How
if you
long?
got to pee, go do it.
I'm going to. I
God
have
forbid
to
I'm
go.
making Sandy explode on
I
her own
have to go.
show.
All right. Talk. I'll be back. Well, I'll put up the picture. I'll just put up your solar panel while I go to the bathroom. I have to go. All
Yeah, go
right.
for
I'll
it,
be
girl.
right back.
Um, well, yeah, that's an interesting question, and it really, you really need to understand the petrodollar cycle. Um, for most of the time that we've been using fossil fuels, if you wanted to buy a barrel of oil, you paid for it in US dollars, and no other currency on the planet could you do that. And that then forced, uh, 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 for instance, you take a Mideastern company, a country that was going to sell oil, they had to convert that from their local currency into US dollars. And that meant flowing that currency, that paper money, for lack of better words, through a US bank. And obviously that, the currency conversion, the banks make a certain, not a lot of money, but from a percentage standpoint, but from a volume standpoint, they make a fuck ton of money. I mean, it's in the billions, maybe even trillions of dollars. Um, so you get, and again, for lack of better words, you get rogue nations that want to create their own exchange for oil, fossil fuels, in a currency other than USD. And I got to believe that that's one of the reasons that the U.S. continues to get into conflicts over oil, in addition to the resource itself.
I'm
I
not
don't know.
floating
Maybe
anymore.
is the answer to his question.
Okay. Well, that worked. That worked because, man, I was floating. I didn't actually hear the whole thing, but I'm sure you did a great job. Okay, let's see what else we have um in the let's see. Oh, we need another show in just Pup's nuke knowledge. Well, I'm going to bring you back. You can hear him talk on Saturdays if you're on X, which, yeah, I know we all hate X, but on a space. He's on the space every Saturday. And sometimes he runs his own. You could
Yeah,
also hear him.
and
But I'm
yeah,
going to have you back because we never even got into the next topic. And I don't have, to, we don't, I really can't stay for more than 2 hours because sitting is awful for me. But it is. I've had three back surgeries and a neck surgery. Sitting hurts after a certain amount of time. So, that's why I like to keep these shows down to about 2 hours.
I got comfy on the couch with the cat across my shins.
Well,
I knew this was going to be long. I needed to, and I peed before I came to the show.
oh, so did I, but I drank 14 cups of coffee this morning. And then I started refilling up my coffee and I spilled it. I had to move all my stupid gadgets. All right. Let's see, guys. Um, all right. Well, everybody's been pretty happy about this show. I am too. I learned a boatload. All right. Here's one. This was global, and this is kind of off the beaten path, but 10 million new chemical compounds are synthesized or discovered annually in scientific research. So does that mean that maybe something will that might be discovered in scientific research, which is not being funded in the United States anymore, by the way, would be something that would be clean and not destroy everything? Or, global, if you're still here, you want to expound on that? Was that supposed to be a positive, a
Well,
negative? Go ahead.
Sandy, they are literally using AI
Ugh.
to build new unknown chemicals. They literally give the AI a goal. I need a chemical. I need a compound that has these parameters, and then they just that they turn the AI loose, and it starts literally trying all these different solutions to come up with a compound that meets the goal.
But what
They've been
cost?
doing
These data centers are hideous and horrible. I mean, that's
well.
the costs, and they're horrible. And we're keeping them out of my county because that's my mission. They're not coming here, but
Well,
but
I,
they're
I
not.
think I think I think the AI revolution. Uh, uh, well, to be quite honest, I did a bunch of coding in AI during my working career. Uh, when I worked for a Wall Street bank, I wrote some of their first algorithmic trading
Mm-hmm.
um, routines back in the middle '90s. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, um, I think the AI revolution is going to hit a fizzle, and the reason is uh,
Yeah.
well, for instance, I'm looking at upgrading. I've got a rack of servers out in the same building. Matter of fact, right next to the batteries, the picture
Oh.
of the batteries. You can just barely see the computer rack I've got there. But I've been looking at upgrading my system to run AI locally, and so I can run Claude and a bunch of other shit locally for a bunch of reasons. But if I can run it locally for, I don't know, $3,000, $4,000, why would I want to sign on and have again, we're back to that, like with solar. You can buy the power once, or you can buy it from your power company and pay a bill every month, an ever increasing bill every month. Why the F would I want to sign on with Chat GPT or Claude or any of these others, or Copilot on a monthly basis when they can bleed me dry?
Because everybody
Where for
is. All these people are. And that's why they're destroying counties like mine, which they're not going to because I've been successful in the fight. Nobody wants it now that I educated everybody here on data centers. But what? And here's another question. Data centers are gigantic. They're humongous. They're ridiculous. Remember when computers used to be walls and walls of, the way back in the 70s, and now you can get a computer and a watch. So how long is it going to take for these data centers to become obsolete?
Well, that's exactly my point.
Yeah.
That's exactly where I was going with the point. I mean, if I can buy, I'm going to be very specific. If I can buy a Dell Pro Max GB10 and I can do computerized options trading for $4,000 and make $4,000 a week, guess what? The machine pays for itself in a week.
Whew.
And I can use that also for doing object recognition and facial recognition on my campus here. I can use it for doing research. Like when the question came up, how many miles of highway? I literally, if I had that thing sitting next to me, I could literally just look at it and say, how many miles are there of highway is there? And it spits me back a goddamn answer.
Without
Why
using
would
a
I
big
want
data
to have it?
center. Right.
why would I need a data center?
Well, I hope it
I think
comes
this
to
is going to
that
become
because
democratized
this is
to the
bullshit.
point where literally everybody's going to have a fucking, they continue with miniaturization and transistors. You're literally going to have one on your watch.
If we don't go
You know?
extinct first.
Yeah. But
Sorry.
I think it's just going to become democratized to the point where everybody's going to have it, and there literally won't be any reason to put up a bazillion square foot fucking thing that needs 16 gigawatts worth of fucking power.
Well, how does obsolete optics? How do I computerize options trading? 4,000 a week would help mine too, man. I can't even afford this channel's costing me more than I take in
That
to run it.
the first thing I would recommend is go to GitHub and start reading. There are
GitHub.
just
GitHub.
there
Well,
there are a
he's one to do it.
plethora.
Because no matter when I tell him he's brilliant, he says he's not, but he is. So if there's anybody that can learn, he'll learn. GitHub, huh? That's where he starts
Yep.
to learn. Good.
GitHub is the repository for all pretty much all open source software. In other words, you can download the source code, compile it on your machine, and run it. And there are GitHubs out there for options trading, a plethora of different methods of options trading,
Damn.
and stock trading, and Bitcoin trading, and.
All that shit. I don't know anything about it. Nvidia sells 3,000 standalone AI desktop.
Yep.
So what the fuck do
But
we need these stupid goddamn things taking up all our land and ruining it? You should see the video from Indiana that it was just miles of driving through lights and planet eating machines and it's horrible. God, I hate them.
yeah,
I hate
and
them.
Moonman, I looked at the NVIDIA DGX. I looked at it, and he's absolutely right. It's about 30. It's about. I think he's a little low on the price. The last time I checked, it was around $4,000. But the
Okay.
Dell Pro Max GB10 is, depending on how you log into the website, it's anywhere between 42 and 4,700, and it's got a lot more output ports and blah blah blah. It's a much, and I'm not a Dell fan by any stretch of the imagination. It's
Right.
just a better machine for about the
Pop,
same kind of money.
you're gonna have your own country eventually. I knew
I
this
don't
was
want my
gonna.
own country.
I know,
It's too
right?
much of a pain in the ass to run it.
But I knew this was gonna be a fun show. We've been having the heaviest shows with Antonio and all this since the war. I wanted something lighter, and yeah, we're talking about heavy subjects. We are. We're talking about like shit hits the fan. We're talking about solar. We're talking about all that, but it's been a little, I think it's been uplifting. Wouldn't you say that in the chat that this has been a bit more uplifting than lately? Because not hopium, just currently the things that are currently happening. It's not hopium that we hope everything's going to change. We just, it's a day at a time. It's like what they say in AA, one day at a time, basically.
Yeah, for survival, I was trained by the military that you're shelter first, water second, communications third. Now, obviously, I have shelter. Obviously, I have water. So communications was one of the next things that I'm concerned about.
Right.
End of last year, and this is a hobby that I have been looking at doing for about 50 years, and that's ham radio. And my best friend got the bug, and then I got the bug, and he's a computer guy too, and a networking guy.
Mm-hmm.
And we created a network over ham radio frequencies between northern Minnesota and Denver, Colorado.
That's cool.
So
I've got ham radio and I have the book. You think I've used it? My brother bought me the book and the ham radios, and I haven't even. He says read a little bit in the morning, and every time I start reading the book, I'm like, I don't know. I think I need to try though. I think so.
you know, it when Chris wants to send me an email, if the
Mm-hmm.
internet goes down on either end,
Yeah.
it comes across on my ham.
Yeah.
on my ham radio
I
rig.
keep saying
And
I need to do it. I need to do well. The mine are just the portable ones, but from my brother, and he means well. My brother is one of those people. He can learn anything in 10 minutes, and then it's not me. And he got his license like immediately. But he used to fly. He was an instrument rated. I mean, he's just one of those. I'm not. I can do all this crap on the
by the way,
video.
you can get a GMRS license with no test for $35. GMRS stands for General Mobile Radio Service.
Oh,
Um, and
oh,
you can push 50 watts on that thing. Um, and there's no tests, no nothing. You don't have to know shit about electronics or antennas or antenna matchers or any of the rest of that crap. And for, I don't know, $200, you can have a 50-watt GMRS radio and be legal. They even issue
no
you a
kidding.
call sign.
No shit. God,
Um,
God, there's so much to know. I mean, I have, but yeah, but my brother wants me to read it. He wants me to learn. I'm like, okay, when in my spare time. I mean, I work so hard on this channel and I'm reading two different books at a time, learning about global history and all kinds of stuff all at once and trying to do a garden and trying to clean my place and trying not to hurt. But he's like, I'm like, okay, when are you going to test me, bro? Test me on that.
by the way,
Oh,
if you're going for your test, any one of the tests for your ham license, they
yeah.
have practice tests,
Yeah.
like 10 or 13 practice tests
The book I
up
have
there.
does. And the book I have
Now,
had too.
with an AI, you could actually go out and say, read all the practice tests and feed me the questions most likely to come up on the test so you can horse in the military we called it horsing up on the test. And you literally could know nothing about electronics or radios or antennas or any of the rest of that crap. Take the fucking test, pass it, get your ham radio license, and not know a damn thing
Yeah,
about it.
but that's cheating. I mean,
Well,
if I want to, I do want to learn. I don't want to just not know. I
trust
don't.
me, Sandy. You put up a ham rig
Yeah,
and you
you
get the
learn it.
bug, you'll learn it. You'll the same way that I learned
Yeah,
mechanics as an 8-year-old kid. I got
yeah.
interested in it and I started taking small engines apart. You
Well,
know,
like I
and
learned video editing. I didn't know anything. I used to when I first started this channel, other people did some of the videos for me and now I do everything. But what pisses me
yep,
off is that I work so hard on my videos and now all these idiots on YouTube are putting AI slop channels up and they'll get 200,000 on views on one video. They're making all the money and I can't even pay for this fucking channel or get 5,000 subs and they're just these bullshit channels. I peg them. They're awful. They're
yep.
awful. And they're faceless. That pisses me off too. Because I work so hard and it doesn't pay off. And then of course AI hallucinated last year, took my channel down for 3 months and I had a fight to get it back. And Cheryl Josie went to Google in person and put in a complaint in person for me in California. That's how the channel came back with a human
In,
being.
Interestingly enough, have been a couple of white papers from a variety of these AI monsters put out regarding why the AIs hallucinate. And
Oh,
one of the things that they identified was when you ask an AI a question,
yeah.
it literally takes a certain number of tokens. That's a technical term.
Yeah.
And those tokens have a dollar value associated, the electricity, the cost of the hardware, blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
So it behooves the AI to give you an answer as fast as possible using the least amount of tokens as possible. And
Yeah,
if it
that's
doesn't have an answer, a factual answer handy, it'll make shit up to get you, literally to get you off its back.
it did. YouTube it made it up and said I was endangering children and all kinds of bullshit that it was completely not true at all. because everything was not made. Nothing here is made for children. It was bullshit. It was the worst. It was really stressful because
Yep.
10 years down the drain of a channel because of an AI hallucination. Oh my god. All right, listen. Let me
Now,
take it.
you know
I
what
got to take a deep breath.
you know what my response to that would have been, Sandy? Is
What?
I would have fired up an AI that went out and created a whole bunch of user accounts that then flooded YouTube with a "What the fuck are you doing to
Uh,
Sandy?"
yeah, but people did that and they didn't need AI. I had a lot of people that wrote for me, but it took
Yeah.
somebody going in person. Anyway, I'm not going
Well,
to do that. I'm not going to do that. I don't, I wasn't that big of a, or far of a thinker that way, but I got it back.
I'll, I'll, along the same lines, there are companies out there that'll say, and it's for people and for corporations. They'll say, "Well, you got a bad rep on the internet. We can fix that for you." You know how they fix that?
That's bullshit. I would
They
never
generate
believe them.
a voluminous number of positive comments
I know.
that then filter to the top, so that when somebody does a search, they don't see any of the bad shit.
Right. I've seen that. I've seen these companies. Oh, you can buy people and buy subs. Oh, fuck all that. Everything is organic here. And and I'm not going to ever do any of that crap. Shit, I didn't monetize this channel for 7 years. But, I did because my life changed and I can't, I'm just making it. But anyway, I'm not bitching. Listen, let's, any more questions. We're 2 hours, and actually I don't know, is it raining out? I've got to get outside and pick some goddamn weeds. I gotta get
By
outside.
the way,
Yeah, babe.
the reason I'm an avatar is, and I protect my anonymity so tightly,
Mm-hmm.
is number one, I've been involved in some uh,
Ernie.
nefarious things, and
Yeah.
I can start citing things like I was a member of a group that was hacking the Russian government when they
Blah.
invaded Ukraine. Um, so I really am protective of that. But to give you an idea, a number of years ago, and for about 10 years, I and another individual were running a global VPN service. And of course, Google came to me and said, "Hey, want to advertise, get more subscribers, that kind of thing." So I bought into it. And one of the things that was in there, I could filter my ad content, who got to see my ads, or search results using the Axios database. So on a lark, I wanted to figure out how specific I could be. So I created a Google ad profile that would target, number one, people who made more than $100,000, who had a credit card, who had used that credit card within the last 30 days, lived in New York City within a 2 block radius,
Oh,
and owned a Schnauzer dog. And you know what? It came back with 414
no
targets.
shit. Jeez.
You literally can target
Anybody.
down to the finest point. So one of the reasons
Yeah.
I'm anonymous is because I don't want to give these motherfuckers any more information
That they
about
are.
me
They
than,
already have. I know. And
yep.
with NSPM-7, I'm sure I'm all over the place. But I'm such a little I'm an old lady and I live, in the middle of nowhere. I'm really not doing any harm to anybody. I think I'm the last one they're going to come knocking at the door. And if they do, fuck it. They want to take care of my cats? All right, listen. Listen, Brett. Thank you. I wasn't doing that. I wasn't whining for that. $50 is very generous, and that helps because I just paid for Ecamm Live, which is my platform since 2019. So thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Hey, real
Thank
quick
you.
question to the crowd.
Yeah.
Where did my avatar come from and my name?
Pup Tenacle.
Where
Don't
did that
ask
name come
me.
from?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm not that person.
You're obviously not a very big Frank Zappa fan then.
Oh my God, that's what it was. That's old time, baby. I can't. I saw I saw I saw Frank Zappa 100 years ago at the Felt Forum in Manhattan, but I didn't
Yeah,
remember that. I did not remember this.
Pup Tentacle is a character
Oh yeah.
in one of Frank Zappa's songs
God, look,
off
that's
of the
right.
Apostrophe album.
Oh shit, that's great. I didn't remember at all. You know how long it's been since I've even thought about Frank Zappa, other than the Enema Bag song, and at least that wasn't your avatar.
Watch out where the Huskies go, and don't you
Yeah,
eat that
that
yellow
yellow
snow.
snow. I know. Now you got me going. All right, listen, everybody. I want to say thank you to all of you. And thank you, Pup, for being with us. This was absolutely terrific. I think we all learned a lot. I really do. I think we learned a lot. And there was people on X. Thank you if you were on X, all of you. Pup, you'll have to come back. Definitely, because
Anytime.
we didn't even get to some things. I think that you have an amazing amount of knowledge. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Oh, we got another one. Linda.
Anytime, anytime I can help people
Thank you,
uh, uh,
Linda.
uh,
Aw.
be more survivable, uh, and reduce their expenses and become more independent and self-reliant, I am absolutely up for it anytime you want to do it, Sandy.
Okay. And that's what I'm about for my life, and that's why I'm going outside to start weeding and cleaning up and getting my seeds going and whatever. All right, guys. Thank you. What is it? Sunday. I don't know if I'll be back Tuesday or Wednesday. I'll let you guys know. It's always when this kind of season starts and I have to go out and start my gardening and all that shit, clean up. It's all, I don't know. Thank you, sweetheart. All right, guys. Much love. Much love.